Okay, so you've got this SPSS assignment staring you in the face,
Yeah,
and it's probably feeling a little overwhelming,
a little bit,
maybe even a lot overwhelming.
especially if you're just getting started with SPSS.
Exactly. So that's exactly why we've pulled together this deep dive. We're going to be looking at 4 video tutorials that are all about introducing SPSS to beginners.
And we'll break it all down so you can hit the ground running with your assignment.
Exactly. So instead of spending hours trying to figure out where to even begin with SPSS, we're going to give you that quick orientation to the key concepts.
Yeah, we're going to unpack what you really need to know to get started.
So let's jump right in with the first tutorial. It's called How to Use SPSS, an introduction to SPSS for beginners. Pretty straightforward title.
Straight to the point.
So for someone who's never even opened SPSS before, what is this thing even used for?
Well, at its core, SPSS is all about statistical analysis. So it's basically software that helps you find meaning in data.
Okay, so like crunching numbers, looking for patterns.
Exactly. And the first thing you're going to encounter is the interface, right?
Right, like what do you actually see on the screen when you open this thing?
So you'll typically see a data editor, which looks a lot like a spreadsheet.
Ah, okay, familiar territory.
It is, yeah. And that's where you input and view your data, and then you'll also see an output window.
And that's where the magic happens.
That's where the results of your analysis show up.
Gotcha. So when you're starting a brand new SPSS project, what are those initial steps that these tutorials usually cover?
One of the first things you do is define your variables.
Variables, okay.
Yeah, and that's basically like labeling each column in your data.
Oh, so giving them names and saying what kind of information they hold.
Precisely, you're specifying whether it's numbers, text, dates, that sort of thing.
So it's all about setting up the structure of your data.
Yeah, you're laying the groundwork before you dive into any actual analysis.
Makes sense. All right, moving on to the second tutorial. It's called Descriptive Statistics and Frequencies in SPSS for beginners. Now, descriptive statistics sounds kind of scary.
It can be a little intimidating, but it's simpler than it sounds.
Okay, good, because I'm already intimidated.
Don't worry. So descriptive statistics are really just about summarizing your data with some key numbers, like finding the average value.
Okay, the average, that makes sense.
Or maybe the most common value and how spread out the data is, things like that.
Gotcha. So it's like getting a quick snapshot of your data.
Exactly. And then there are frequencies which tell you how many times each specific value shows up in your data.
Frequency, so like if you have a survey question and you want to know how many people answered yes versus no.
Exactly. Frequencies are great for that kind of categorical data.
So this is all part of that initial data exploration phase.
It is. You're getting a feel for your data before you go deeper.
All right, and then we have descriptive statistics and z-scores in SPSS for beginners.
Okay, z-scores. Now we're getting really technical.
It might sound a bit more advanced, but it's actually a pretty simple concept.
Well, listen up. So a z-score basically tells you how far away a particular data point is from the average, but in a standardized way.
Standardized how so?
Well, it uses something called standard deviation, which is a measure of how spread out your data is.
Right, okay.
So the z-score tells you how many standard deviations away from the mean a specific data point is.
So a high z-score means the data point is pretty unusual.
Exactly. It's an outlier.
Okay, so z-scores help us identify those outliers that might be skewing our results.
Precisely. They give you a way to compare data points, even if they're from different data sets.
Very cool. All right, and finally, we have graphing and descriptive stats in SPSS. This one features Dr. Amy Gates.
Oh, yeah. Dr. Gates is great.
So how do graphs play into this whole data exploration thing?
Visualizing data is super important. Graphs give you that visual story that complements those descriptive statistics.
So it's like seeing the numbers come to life.
Exactly, and you can often spot patterns and relationships that you wouldn't notice just by looking at the numbers.
So what kinds of graphs are we talking about here?
Well, in an introductory context, you'll probably see bar charts for categorical data, like those survey responses we talked about.
Okay, bar charts make sense.
And then there are histograms, which show the distribution of your numerical data.
Histograms, got it.
And you might even encounter scatter plots, which are great for exploring the relationship between two variables.
So it's all about getting a visual understanding of your data.
Precisely, a picture can really be worth 1,000 data points.
I like that. All right, so it seems like all 4 of these tutorials, while covering slightly different aspects, are all geared towards that same goal.
Absolutely. They're all about building that foundational understanding of SPSS and giving you the tools to start analyzing data.
So whether it's defining variables, understanding descriptive statistics, calculating z-scores, or creating graphs, it's all connected.
It is, and it's all essential for tackling that SPSS assignment you've got.
Right. So the big takeaway here is that these tutorials provide that step-by-step guide to getting started with SPSS with a focus on those first crucial steps of descriptive analysis and visualization.
Exactly. Those are the building blocks for any data-related assignment.
Absolutely. Now, here's something to think about as you dive into your assignment.
Okay.
Imagine looking at a bar chart of your survey responses or a histogram of your numerical data. Could that spark new questions that you wouldn't have thought of just by staring at rows and columns of numbers?
Oh, definitely. Visualizing your data can reveal patterns and trends that might otherwise stay hidden.
Exactly. You might spot an unexpected outlier or see a relationship between variables that you didn't anticipate.
And those early insights can really shape the direction of your analysis.
So don't underestimate the power of those initial explorations in SPSS. They can really set you on the right path for a successful assignment.
Absolutely.
And that's it for our deep dive into those introductory SPSS tutorials. We hope you found this helpful as you embark on your SPSS journey.
Good luck with the assignment.
And until next time, happy analyzing.
Happy analyzing!